Right. Okay. Hi everyone. So thank you for being here. So first of all, sorry for the strike. I know it is a huge disruption to your to your studies and your education. But I'm sure that a line that you've heard a lot before, and I'm going to say it again, which is, we're also doing this for your education because we believe that you should be taught by people who are being paid equally and on a fair wage, and who are not being overworked on a daily basis. Right, so my name is Anh Lee. I am in the politics department. So today I'm going to talk about the role of ethics in politics, and I want to put like a little disclaimer before I start. That is, I don't know a lot about either subject. I think a lot about ethics and politics. It's something that I think about quite regularly, but it's not something that I claim to know a lot about. So what I really want for this to be is an opportunity to have a discussion about ethics and about politics, the relationship between the two, and can we have ethics in politics? And if not, why not? If so, then why yes? What's the no reason? What's the yes reasons? I don't really have a conclusion. I don't really make any arguments. I really just want to flesh out the arguments. And let's hope that we can have a little discussion about this topic. Right, so before we begin, I want to have a little thought experiment. Some of you may have seen this before. So God comes to you with a proposal. If you condemn a baby, and I have a photo of the baby to be shown in a little bit. If you condemn this innocent baby to hell, to be tortured for 10,000 years, right? 10,000 years, then all of the miseries in the world would go away, right? Think of all of the natural disasters. Think of all of the people dying from diseases, cancers, people whom you've loved, whom you have lost because of all of these issues. All of that would go away if you condemned this baby. Look at the baby, look at the baby, right? Condemn the baby 10,000 years to be tortured in hell. I don't think of all the worst forms of punishment and all the worst form of tortures you could think of. Show of hands, who would condemn the baby? No, that's fine. No, show of hands. Come on, keep it up, Sue.
Me too, but just because I know better.
Yep. All right. So, Monica, right?
Yeah.
Can you please explain the reason why you would condemn?
It's really terrible. I know, it is really bad. But I just kind of took the approach of majority would be.
Would be better.
Yeah, would be better off from the sacrifice of one.
So in a sense, like you know that what you're doing is wrong, but you know that the consequence of it would be so much better.
Yeah.
So you kind of reluctantly doing that. Yeah. So what's your name? Sebastian. You put your hand up, right?
Yeah.
What was your reason?
It was a similar reason. I think, on the grand scheme of things, the whole humanity, life's so improved because of one, I guess, less improved. So on the whole scale, whole scale thing, everyone's better off.
So again, you do kind of through gritted teeth. They're like, oh my God, no, I'm not going to be able to sleep for a few nights, but. Think of all of the things that you could prevent and it could stop from happening, right? So what's your name? Ollie. You didn't put your hand up.
No.
What was your reason?
Well, it's the same reason since I was first introduced this thought experiment that if you take away all the misery, natural disasters and diseases in life, then there is absolutely no progression to life.
Right.
To render it meaningless. It's the suffering. I've always believed that it's the suffering that gives the life meaning.
Right, okay.
So you would basically render life invalid if you put it.
So it's a very existentialist, life is about struggle, and you struggle you learn valuable lessons by struggling through life. But a question could be made that, yeah, sure, maybe we need a few struggles here and there. But we have a lot of sufferings in the world. We're not just talking about, we're not getting our pensions or we're not being paid equally. We're talking about millions of people being killed. We're talking about the Rwandan genocide, which killed nearly 1 million people in 7 months. We're talking about the Syrian civil war, which also claimed the life of nearly 1 million people. We're talking about immeasurable scale of suffering. Do we need to suffer that much to learn a lesson? What do you think? You didn't put your hand up.
No, it's difficult.
Mm.
All that suffering is unjustifiable. But just because all of that suffering is unjustifiable doesn't mean you can justify this one form of suffering.
Yeah.
Suffering is unjustifiable, full stop, then suffering is unjustifiable.
Yeah, so this child, it doesn't really matter the scale of the sufferings to you. Or
It does matter,
mm.
but then it's just a bit of a paradox if you try and justify one form of collective suffering by forcing suffering on an individual. It seems illogical to me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. No. So, what do you think? You put your hand up, didn't you? Yeah.
Kind of, because I was reading about utilitarianism this morning.
Oh, right, so you prepared, so you came in prepared, like, Agnes is going to ask me to condemn the baby. I need to have a good answer for him.
Well, it's like, I would just put, it's like, I have the similar reasoning with them, like, I should consider the general happiness rather than the child, but like, according to the theory of justice by Whas,
Yeah.
if I'm in the position where I have the possibility of becoming this baby and then I will be tortured for 10,000
Yeah.
years, I will not choose to torture this baby for general happiness because like that would hinder my happiness.
Right, okay. So
I was like kind of hesitant about these two theories, but I would just like put the general happiness and best that I will not be this baby.
Right, okay. All right, good. So,
Right, I guess this all also depends on like who's making the decision, because I guess our argument when we're saying it's better for the whole humanity, we're sort of taking the viewpoint that the whole humanity would have made this decision, like all humankind. So I guess in this thought experiment, there's one person making that decision, so all the blame sort of goes on that one person.
yeah. All the praise, right?
Yeah, and all the
Yeah.
praise as well. But I guess if this thought experiment was maybe a bit different, whereas like God doesn't just ask one person, but kind of asks humanity like in a democratic way, it would make the decision a bit easier because as a whole,
Yeah.
kind of making
Collectively decide.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's right.
and you're sort of like then kind of like not spreading up the blame, but as in there's less
Yeah.
there's guilt on the part of the one person.
Yeah. But
Can I ask a question as well? Just in this perfect world where there's no misery, what happens to crime? Because some crime doesn't involve misery, but the punishments involved in it would be misery. So if I steal, like, let's say in this perfect world, I steal £1,000 from you.
sure.
Now, that's fairly miserable to you, but if the punishment is my hand gets cut off, then I can't actually be punished because you can't cut my hand off because that would involve adding misery to my life.
I think that in this experiment, the idea would be that it would be in such a position that you don't need to commit a crime. So I don't know. Maybe you're the kind of person that you just like to steal other people's monies because that's what you do, or like maybe that's what you really want to do. Then maybe I'm not really sure what's the argument, but we're talking about like the kind of paradise, perfect society, right? We're talking about society where you don't need to find a reason to do things that would go against morality. So yeah, so that would be the kind of like perfect paradise. But all right, so that's the baby, right? So imprint this picture of the baby in your mind, and think of the decisions that you've made. Do you have a little twist? That was Adolf Hitler. That was a picture of baby Adolf Hitler. Those of you who put your hand up, would that make you change your mind now that you knowing the baby would grow up to be Hitler, right? Monica, would you change your mind now you know that?
I put like my hand up to say I would sacrifice like the baby.
Yeah.
But I guess because it is Adolf Hitler, like
Yeah.
the course of history would obviously be fundamentally
Yeah.
changed. But then in that like proposition, it's already
Oh,
changed.
sorry, yes, sorry. What I meant was like the people who do not put your hands up. Sorry. Looking at you, mate. You were just kind of like, yeah.
This is the thing. So I don't believe anyone is born inherently evil.
Yeah.
The actions that we take in our life are a consequence of what is learned, right? Ultimately, that's a child. not Adolf Hitler at that point that we know. It's an infant who went through a life that encouraged those sorts of things, including all the suffering in the world that happened, that probably encouraged that in some way. Obviously, it wasn't channeled in the best way possible. But yeah, no, in my view, I knew the picture was Adolf Hitler when I saw it. But
Oh, damn it, Roman.
Yeah.
Damn it, could not follow.
Yeah, to me, ultimately, it's an infant. But then by saying that, are you sort of justifying the suffering caused at the hands of the later adult? I don't know.
Susan, would you change your position? Did you know it was Adolf Hitler?
I knew it.
Okay, damn it. I thought it was.
But of course, like these type of experiments are in the end experiments, and we all have our different systems that we have in our mind in that moment. Because that is, of course, we imagine an isolated system and try to make sense of that. But every single person in this room had a different thought of what this isolated or this paradise is. So
Sure.
even if I would change mine, that wouldn't change anything.
Okay. Yeah. So again, that was just a quick thought experiment. And the reason for that is I wanted to use that to ease us into the topic of what is ethics. What is ethics to you, Lawrence?
I think, well, for me, it goes back to what are your key values and principles in terms of running your life, and helping you through life. So I think it's ethical to withdraw my labour, the current while we're here at the moment.
Yeah. So is that the sense of is ethics the sense of the principles and the values that govern our behaviours and our actions? Was that?
I have no idea. I'm an economist.
Yeah. So what is ethics to an economist?
Nothing.
Nothing. Oh, okay.
Does not exist literally. I mean, I'm trying to get my head around it. That's the point. In fact, that's someone here. I'm trying to square that actually in a paper which we submitted to the Journal of Business Ethics. So now I'm trying to figure out, how do I bring in ethics into this? It's actually really not. It's not compatible with the whole basic thing of positivist economics. It's just not.
Yeah. There's a person, I'm sure you've come across him, Thomas Miller, and he wrote a book on business ethics.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he's Australian philosopher.
I did
Yeah.
look through a few books on business.
Yeah.
But it's almost like there's two worlds. I mean, the one I'm just reading actually is about business ethics and rent seeking. Right?
Yeah.
And it's almost impossible to, bridge the two things. You're either in a world of rent seeking, and that makes sense from an individualist kind of economics point of view, or you're kind of in an ethics world. It's virtually incompatible to sort of bridge the two in a way.
So is that because that if you so for example, is that because that if you endorse the position of ethics, then you can't be an economist, and if you are an economist,
At
then
least not the sort of economics we have at the moment.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it, positivist, neoclassical, neoliberal.
right. So is there like this understanding that maybe ethics is only relevant to certain issues and to certain spheres of life and not others? So
Well, it could be argued that economics and ethics can be combined.
Yeah.
For example, if in Adam Smith's Invisible Hands, if we distribute all the wealth to a certain group of people because they worked harder or they have like intelligence.
Yeah.
Then that could be one argument for ethics within the branch of ethics. And other economists, such as like Karl Marx, is more, perfectly just society, and then that is what ethics means.
Yeah.
Well, that's my view. I don't know.
No, I think, and so I want to, so like my approach from here is, ethics is, my approach is from the kind of like Aristotelian, classical Greek, Western liberal ideas of what ethics meant to be. Ethics is going to mean very different things for, maybe for the Confucius tradition or like maybe in Eastern philosophy, ethics will mean different thing. So in that sense, my approach here is quite limited to the three major Western branches. And again, by saying that, I know that I'm kind of like perpetuating the dominance of Western philosophy education in the West, but I do think that these three branches do say something and do share some similarities with other branches of ethics. So especially maybe on the first branch, which is the virtue ethics. So virtue ethics is, I don't want to go a lot about what each means. So like really we just want to do like a cursory glance at each. And so virtue ethics, it focuses on the moral character of a nation. So it doesn't focus intrinsically on the action itself. So virtue ethics it focuses, so what is a good person? Well, the good person is a person that does the virtuous things. And what are the virtuous things? Well, we talk of values like honesty, we talk of values like candor, we talk of values like empathy. So then we could have a whole range of debates about what do we mean by the virtuous credentials that a person could have. But it doesn't really focus on the action, at least not in the directly relevant sense, but it focuses on the value of the person. So a good action is a good thing that is the actions that performed by a virtuous agent. The second major branch, and I think it's one of the more prominent branch of Western philosophy, well, ethical philosophy, is deontology, which is a rule-based principle values. So it focuses on the action itself. So let's go back to the example of the condemning the baby. Then some deontologists will say that it is always wrong to condemn the baby because the action itself is wrong. And so it focuses on the action itself and not on the consequences that would be brought about by the performing of that action. So then we get to consequentialism, which is quite, have you seen the film 24 by, what is his name? Jack Bauer, or, yeah, basically it's just like an insane scenario in which like in the space of 24 hours, incidents and terrorist attacks would happen, and this guy just going around and killing people, and he would do like all of these damages, but then he would always come back and say, it is always about the result. That is the kind of like Jack Bauer's statement. It is always about the result. I do all of the things. I torture people. I will do all of this really insane thing to get the result, which is to stop the imminent attack or something similar. And so that is usually associated with the consequentialist stance on ethics. As the name suggests, it is based on the consequence. So what is the right thing to do? What is the ethical thing to do? Well, it is the thing that would bring about the best outcome. So if we go back to the example of the condemning the baby, a lot of consequentialists would be compelled to condemn the baby because they would say, well, the consequence greatly outweighs the harm being done to the baby. But all of this is not, the three theories are not clearly separated. So like it's not like if you're a consequentialist and you can't really hold any deontologist value, it's not like that, because a plausible ethical theory could make room for all of these three branches. So even if you are a deontologist, most likely you still care something about the consequence. So maybe you could justify condemning the baby even if you were a deontologist by appealing to a lesser evil justification. So you say like, yes, it is an evil. I know that I'm doing an evil thing by condemning the baby, but the benefit would greatly outweigh the cost of doing so. And so maybe you don't always do if you're a deontologist but still choosing to condemn the baby, you don't always do so because of the consequence, but you do so when the consequences are greater, so much greater than the harms of doing so. So just like a really basic outline of the three major branches. But now I want to move on to more of the practical issue that we have at hand here, which is, hi there. That's Susan, is it? Yeah, Suzanne, sorry. Yeah, so like Suzanne earlier said, so like ethics and economics, so.
Yeah, I'm looking that up
Yeah, you're like,
Because there are some
yeah.
well-known economists.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think, yes, so I think the question is ethics and politics. Do we need ethics in politics? And I think that's an easier way to approach the issue is, do we need ethics in our daily life? What do people think? What are your thoughts on, do we need ethics in our day-to-day life?
Yes.
Yeah? All right, Ava, why should we listen to you? Why should we need ethics in our daily life?
Because I think you need ethics in your daily life to be able to do anything morally, right? And every decision you make should be an ethical decision, first of all, and then be practical. Or that's the way I see life. Because if we did it like that, we would get lots more done and a lot less people would get hurt.
Yep, okay. Lawrence, you put a really strong yes.
Yeah, I think ethics should govern your day-to-day life. Yeah, I try and exercise them during my day-to-day life. We had a case of there was a potential doing some work in Saudi Arabia, doing some work for their healthcare system. So we were asked by our boss if we wanted to be involved, which was good of our boss to actually ask. So she was strong.
Yeah. So your decision to say no, you would say that was an ethical decision. You take a moral stand to say no to the boss.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ollie?
I did journalism in my undergrad, and there was a really interesting case where ethics came up against the law with one of the editors of the NPN who refused to reveal a source linked to either a terrorist attack or a major criminal activity.
Sure. Yeah.
Personal ethical value is to not reveal a source, as you're taught by journalists. Plus, when you're taught as a journalist, you're just told not to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's an honour-based thing, and a lot of ethics for me is down to that honour-based thing that I don't do something dishonourable to you, so I don't expect you to do something dishonourable to me.
Yeah. So maybe we get like a sense that morality is quite pervasive. You know, this is all this powerful thing that is involved in every single decision that we make. So, or at least that we try to do anyway. Maybe we don't always, maybe the decisions that we make doesn't always correspond with our ethical values, but that's what we try to do, at least, Roman.
But doesn't that imply that we think about the choices that's a bit of like a sort of, I don't know, a bit rationalist, right? That we sort of weigh up the pros and cons of doing before we do.
Sure.
Right, but there's often like implicit and unthinking cultural norms that guide our action rather than this sort of careful weighing up of what's more, you know, it's dialectical and situational, right?
Yeah.
If I'm forced to go into war, for example,
sure,
in that social and cultural space, my, you know, morality or whatever, my ethics is completely determined by my social environment in that,
sure.
At that point. Right?
So isn't there like there's a sense that like maybe what we think as ethical is not like an objectively defined set of values.
It's contextual and situational.
It's contextual. Okay. What do people think, Suzanne?
Very much so. I think it's socially determined. I have a very negative view of ethics, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
I actually think that it could be used opportunistically against people, and
it is.
Yeah. So maybe there's a sense that so maybe am I right to say that you would say that what is right to me and what is right to every other person doesn't necessarily mean it's the objectively right thing to do in a situation. That would be your view.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that can change over time. If something happens tomorrow, that changes the sort of the social situation I'm in. So right now, there's a sort of ethical conduct governing everyone in this room, but as soon as we leave this room, the ethical conduct and the moral conduct that guides us will be different because we're in a different social and cultural space.
Yeah.
I am a sociologist, so I would say.
Yeah, no, good. That's really good because I get like, you know, because usually I talk to like people from the same department, so everyone just not say head. Oh, yep, definitely. So it's didn't get your name.
Yeah, I'm Hendrik. I'm
Hendrik.
from geography or geography.
Yes.
Yeah, ethics and politics is like a really quite two contested fields, I think. And speaking from my own experience living and working in South Africa, for instance, you have people who from quite privileged class positions are doing ethical gestures of you know, providing handouts, whereas that's configured within a liberal democratic form that South Africa inherited after the Black Liberation Movement won.
Sure.
But that form is still kind of hiding away. It's a lot of deep-seated political disagreements, which ethics never can deal with. So I think there's a different level to putting those two words in relation.
Yeah.
Where the ethical can be a gesture in order to hide away and silence a lot of the political.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, like, so, like, this is just like ethics in our daily life. Let's. Oh, yeah, no, but
yeah. That's precisely.
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
ethics in our daily life.
Oh, so you think that's the political? Like everything is political? Is that the position?
What I mean is that the ethical gesture
Yeah.
can be deeply depoliticized.
Sure.
And that's through daily life.
Interesting. So it's like the politics of ethics, almost. So it's like it kind of like a reverse of the question. It's not like the ethics of politics, but
It creates this kind of sphere of civility and decency, but actually that sphere of decency where there is an ethical principle
yeah.
is the one that holds that silencing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just take the case of corporate social responsibility at the level of University of Manchester, right? Our third goal, and how that fitted in with the 2020 downsizing.
Yeah.
Gestures.
Ava?
I think that's quite interesting. I think that maybe there's also a difference between ethics in the name of ethics and things being done in the name of ethics, and ethics in terms of your personal beliefs, and which are then culturally done. So if you make a choice which you feel is ethical to what your beliefs are, which might not be ethical to somebody else's, it still does mean that your own ethics might help you decide certain things. And those decisions, even though you might think they're ethical, might actually not be ethical at all. And so what I would argue is that you kind of need to think about what you're going to do before you do them. And that will be determined, of course, by what everybody else says.
Yeah. Right. I just want to move on to like one. So, would you be, so think of a situation which I think that have happened to all of us, right? So would you be angry if your friend lies to you? Show of hand if you would be angry if you find out that your best friend lied to you.
Don't fucking lie to me.
Yeah. Who?
It does depend.
Okay. Yeah. So why? Yeah.
Friends, you expect them to lie.
Well, but let's Suzanne, your best friend. Right? I'm sorry to put you in this conundrum, but think of your best friend, and you find out that they.
Is it a big lie? Is it a small lie?
Ooh, think if it's quite substantial.
Is it a necessary lie to be protecting someone else?
Let's say I don't want to push too many buttons, but let's say like it's substantial, and it's not just like oh, I like your cake, or I like the cake that you baked me for my birthday. It's not like a white lie, right? It's not like, oh yes, I like your I like the outfit yesterday. It's like a substantial lie. Like I don't want to push many buttons because I don't want to like put like an actual concrete situation.
Have I lied to this person before myself?
No, you have no reason. This person, you say that is completely, you would be like, I haven't done anything like this to you. I've always been very honest with you. I've always been very candid. But, we find out that they lied to you. We should be angry.
I would be angry. I'm angry when people cross picket lines. I'm angry when and ethically, you think this person has been writing about workers' rights, this person writing about neoliberalism, it's the fucking crossing the picket line.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what am I going to tell him next time? I'm sitting in a room in a meeting with a discourse analyst, we are talking about how neoliberalism crap. What am I going to tell him? That is this ethic.
Yes.
Should I talk to him? Should I smile at him? Should I say, really nice? I'm a politically.
So would you say?
It's worse than lying, actually.
So
if my partner's cheated on me, I wouldn't get more angry than.
Actually, I got it as the next example. But
Diverse that I think is the question.
yes, okay, but do you think that the sense that you're angry is the sense that like you've been wronged? So when you make the phrase, right, when you make the distinction between the phrase, when you say earlier, like it's a wrong thing to do, is that an ethical decision? I mean, right and wrong are value-laden terms. There are terms that we use to judge a person, an action when we want to express our moral outrage or maybe our moral praiseworthiness to an action or to a person. When you say that you are angry when your colleague crosses a picket line, and just because he's done something wrong, you wrote about Marxism, you wrote about neoliberalism, and you do not practice what you preach, aren't you just passing on a moral judgment to that person?
Yes.
Not a political view. You pass on a political view. It's like this is what we're doing now with the strike is to establish that there is a line that can be crossed, and that's politically placed. It has nothing to do with ethics or morals.
And
it's politically placed there, and if you cross it, you can point out you crossed the line.
But
so
why?
I'm not sure if I don't put it in the register of ethics or morality. I put it in the register of the political.
But what is sustaining that line? What is sustaining that line?
If I could just, is that not an honour-based thing?
Like,
If you like the workers' rights thing, that is, you're writing something with honourable intentions, but when you cross that picket line, you are degrading your own honourable behaviour. So why should I uphold your honour if you're not prepared to uphold your own honour, which you, but in the writings of your thesis or PhD or whatever?
The only reason why there is a picket line is because we're organised. So it's not individual. It's not playing out at the level of the individual.
So you think it's like
everyone needs to place yourself in relation to that line now, and people are, every day now. And we constructing the picket line every day, and people makes choices in relation to that line.
Yeah.
But it's organised, it's through our organisation that we're capable of doing that.
I think that's really interesting. But I also think it is an aggressive. In some cases, it might be an aggressive thing to actually cross that line. And I think what I would feel is not necessarily, I'd be angry, but I think I'd feel a massive sense of disappointment. And I don't think, especially if you were somebody who writes about workers' rights, and you are politically writing about those workers' rights, that is incredibly disheartening. That is really like, where does trust go then? Are you a trustworthy person in the same kind of sense?
So okay, good. So hold all of the emotions. Like I think that we all feel different. We all feel different things when we see something's being done that goes against our values, or don't call it ethics. Or if you don't want to call it ethics, just call it like set of values and principles. But song then.
I feel that like the entire discussion is because like, for example, all the staff here is like holding a particular political belief, and then that a particular action acts upon them challenges their political belief. So people here are like very hard to maintain impartiality. And they couldn't be like objectively viewing this particular situation. But like similar to us, like we cannot like view anything really objectively, and then because we have those sociological influence, or for example influence from our lecturers, and that goes back to the sociology part of this discussion, where there's no certain like universal right, but we're just like influencing others based on our beliefs.
Yeah, good. Okay, Susan. No. Yeah, I'm very easy to notice movement of hands. Because usually in my seminar, sometimes people don't really speak. So I'm just like, just see a hand movement. Do you want to speak? Right. Okay. So I think that so far we have some talk about what is ethics, or we talk about what does it mean, what ethics means. Maybe we cannot disagree about what do we mean by ethics when we talk about if we can agree on ethics, then what can we agree on the branches of ethics that we or the approach of ethics that we want to believe in. But now once we talk about some relevance of ethics in the personal sphere and what that means. And now I want to move a little bit more to the political sphere. So this is an actual quote of a voter describing a certain politician. I wouldn't say whom, but I can't trust him. He's a pathological liar. So I want to say it's quite interesting to me is that when I read this quote on the Guardian, maybe on the BBC, I can't remember. It was before the election. Because this seems to suggest that you need to be able to trust a politician. But do you need to trust him? Why do you think that we need to trust the politicians? We know why we need to trust our friends, because they are our friends. We are friends. We're supposed to be honest to each other. We're supposed to be very personal relationship with one another. But the politicians, do you think that we need to be able to trust a politician? And if so, then why that is the case?
I guess when the act of voting is basically giving, you're saying, I want this. So if you're voting for someone, you expect them to do what you voted them to do. So if they're not trustworthy, then when you're voting for someone who might not do what you're telling them to do, then that vote is pointless.
I think it may not be necessary. I think it's too binary to look at it from like a trust versus not trusting.
Yeah.
So say there's like 5 candidates. I don't particularly need to trust any of them on a personal level, but from a political level, I just need to trust one more than the other 4.
Yeah.
That's enough for a vote. It's just like a rank order rather than a binary choice.
So it's not just like I trust you, I don't trust you. It's just like it depends what level of trust I have in you.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, what's interesting about it, when the parliamentary debates were happening, when the debates were happening for the last election between Jeremy Corbyn and Boris Johnson, they said that Corbyn was more trustworthy, but Johnson was more prime ministerial, which for me was quite shocking, because I would want somebody to be trustworthy to be able to actually say, okay, they're going to say, I know that politicians aren't, but you'd want them, as you said, to be able to implement what you voted them to implement.
And so like Sebastian Evers, like earlier when he says that you need to be able to trust a person to actually deliver on what's a promise to do, is that because what's a promise to do is a set of principles and policies that you could see yourself agreeing with? Is that the reason why I say, okay, this is, so you get a ballot papers and you read the manifesto. Maybe some do, maybe some don't, but we read the manifesto, like they're proposing what I believe in. They're proposing what I could agree with, raising taxes for the wealthy. Maybe they're proposing more money to be put in NHS. Maybe they're proposing to get Brexit done. Whatever reason we vote for politicians.
But at that point, does the candidate particularly matter? Because like in the Corbyn versus Johnson argument, I would argue that even though people looked at Johnson as more prime ministerial, because he was just closer to them politically, because of the rhetoric he was saying about get Brexit done, which was really effective to those people, because it's what they wanted more than anything. So they would probably be, I'd say, do you need to trust him? Again, it's sort of another tick to the no column, because it's like, he may be dodgy and have like 50 million or illegitimate children or something like that, but you know what? He's going to get what I want done, so the subject matter's more important. I remember listening to LBC with James O'Brien, and he had a caller on once who said, Boris Johnson is a liar, but he's my liar, which I would show as an antithesis to what that quote that you got on the PowerPoint.
So it seems to be like a very dividing issues on whether or not we need to trust politicians, right? So to some people it seems like we need to be able to trust them. To some people it's just like, why does it even matter? They need to trust him. And and earlier there's a really interesting point about he's not trustworthy, but he's prime ministerial, and I don't want to focus on that in a little bit.
But that's also just to add that, because the prime ministerial thing is of course constructed through a very right-wing media. Just to get that absolutely clear, because most of us would not subscribe to that he was more, prime ministerial.
There's a sort of long-held parliamentary view as well, sort of going back to Edmund Burke, the idea of the division between the electorate and the actual elected officials. That maybe the idea you don't need to trust them. Well, what is my trust worth, essentially, because of that idea of they're just represented to do what our decision is for us. So trust in this, it plays with the ideas of democracy, really.
Yeah.
Because if you think of your MP as a direct representative of the voice, then obviously
very dividing issue, because what we mean by, you know, so again, I think it's a really divisive issue on the question of in a Western democracy, do we need to be able to trust our politicians? And I think that there was like an Ipsos Morris poll that says that trust in politicians is as lowest since the poll's been recorded. And it's the same for trust in institutions, trust in democracy, in our system. So I think it's like it's an interesting kind of like reflection, because on the one hand we have, well, we don't need to trust politicians, but then it seems to correlate with the trust that people have, that the electorate have in our institutions and in our very own values of democracy. I mean, it's like a question of who that person is, but I suppose that everyone knows who that person.
Can I just say that, you know, you do actually get, in economics, having established the fact that apparently this is a completely non-ethics space, we actually do talk about trust in economics as well. And actually this sort of view of Johnson as this instrument to get Brexit done, and because he is actually our instrument, and at least we, you know, there is actually implied trust that at least he'll get Brexit done, and he's not even remain with it, I mean, in disguise. But I mean, this is a very kind of instrumental view of it, and that it would be completely consistent with the view of economics.
Yeah, so like trust as in getting
instrumental trust that you can, because you know that that person is incentivized in such a way as to do certain things anyway.
Yeah.
So you know what he's going to do. You can predict that sort of trust is actually, you don't need ethics for that.
Just a question. I was thinking of if a person says that we know this person is a pathological liar. If the pathological liar says, I am a pathological liar, you trust him in whether that is the instrumental.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we could do like an infinite matrix of like, I'm just like, I'm not.
Yeah. There is actually a real precedent for that, because Vladislav Surkov, who was one of Putin's advisors, funds groups in opposition and support of Putin, but the rub is he lets the media know that he's doing that. Yeah. So at that point you can't really tell what he's doing. And it's difficult to be in opposition to the government because you don't really know where the government's position actually is.
So trust is about predictability, actually, not necessarily about ethics. And subverting the media in that way is disorientating, so that you can never quite know what's right and what's fake and what's real.
Donald Trump's really effective at that as well.
Exactly.
So
there's a line from Adam Curtis, Donald Trump defeated journalism, which is what the election.
But is that right that I kind of like quickly conclude as like you seem to say that there are two senses of trust. So if a friend does that to you, you feel outraged. You know, if Lawrence does that, would you say that? You know, that's sorry, Lawrence. I know you never do that, but
you don't really feel outraged, do you?
I just like really.
People behave selfishly, and he's thinking.
Okay, maybe I should have been an economist.
You just have no expectations somehow. I don't know. But you can still be personally. You can still be personally pissed off.
Yeah.
But then that's.
But you're just like, oh my god, I should get over it.
That's my own emotion. It doesn't make a value judgment. It doesn't make a moral judgment. It's just that it pissed me off. So it doesn't mean that it's wrong.
Okay. So of course, like if but it seems to me, that like even within that that discourse analysis of that we talk of, he's the liar, but he is my liar. I think that most people, not everyone, but I think that most people would find it kind of like acceptable behavior from a politician to lie about things, because I think that there's always this like we internalize, like Henrik and Whas said, like we internalize this discourse about. It is part of their job to lie, right? You know, you can't. And I remember there was an interview, not remember done by whom, on Corbyn, but then he says like, well, I like Corbyn, but he's too honest for a politician. Yeah. And I can't really think if he would say the same thing if he was a friend. You know, if Corbyn was my table tennis buddy that I meet on Wednesday, I can't say, oh, he's too honest for my liking.
But you would say it if he was your lawyer or your tax advisor.
Yeah, so see,
you know, the point is really, you know, at this stage,
it depends on the person. If my lawyer, also my tax advisor, which I don't need any. It depends on who you are.
Yeah, I know. But what I was saying, but the thing is, at the moment, we need Johnson. If you want to send someone into battle or into negotiation, you want them to be able to lie.
So it's like different sets of ethics.
Yeah,
so or like maybe ethics is relevant in some spheres and not in others. But it's again like I just want to quickly revert back to where morality stands on all of these issues. I mean, if you look at, I mean, I just picked 5 of the issues that I thought of yesterday. It's not really fun in my head. So all of these issues, I think that morality, again, not like morality in the sense of in a sense of selectively apply it, but if we consistently have a set of moral principles and values, I think that it could provide us a consistent. Some people would think that morality could provide a consistent moral compass to help us to make decisions and to help us to form opinions and thinking and thoughts on some of these issues. So we could, when we think of the refugee crisis, and we feel a sense of injustice and outrage, I think some people would say that is because that the things that we see and the things that are being done go against the values and the principles that we hold in the personal sphere. So perhaps I think that it is not very. I think that perhaps morality has some role in guiding our thoughts and actions and behaviors when we hold it consistently. But that is when we hold in the personal sphere. And earlier when we said that in the politics and maybe in economics and maybe in some different fields, maybe this morality as a guiding compass is not as attractive an idea, or maybe even fatal, going into some fields. And so actually there is a compromise. So the sociologist Sue must know a lot about Max Weber. So he wrote an influential essay during I think that was the German Revolution in 1919. Do correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was the term that Max Weber wrote. So there's an idea of politics as a vocation. So politics is the ethics in politics must be a compromise between the personal conviction that you hold and the ethics of responsibility that you have when you are a politician. So in political morality terms, it is translated in we have like a doctrine of that called the political dirty hands. It's literally what's the name suggests. So when politicians get their hands dirty to get things done, so when they lie to get things done, when they do things that go against some would hold as our moral values. Think of the Australian immigration policy. I think that's in Australia they have an island to keep to process refugees. I'm not sure what's the name of the island. Is it Christmas Island?
Christmas Island,
yeah, Christmas Island. And some of the people who I've been in contact with have been on the island for 5 to 7 years with no possibility of their application being processed. Success, a lot of campaigning, a lot of public remonstrations been going on, and the answer from politicians always seems to be, we do this for national security, we need to do this, we need to do these things to keep society in order and to keep society safe. So I think, so in that sense, a lot of people would say that that is an act of political dirty hands when the politicians get their hands dirty. Perhaps we wouldn't like to do that ourselves, but some people would say that it is an act of necessary governance. When you're in government, sometimes you have to do very unpleasant things and unpleasant policies. But can you think of any other examples?
Oh, was Karl Rove this morning, Trump's advisor, who's just been given 4 years in prison, isn't he?
Oh, is that?
He celebrates that he's
oh.
around dirty tricks.
Yeah. So, so political dirty hands is a very it's a technical term. So it is, you need to know that you're doing a wrong thing. So it's quite different from people people who openly celebrate, or the Australian First group who openly celebrates this policy. That's not political dirty hands. Political dirty hands is when you know you're doing a wrong thing. You know that.
But it may lead to good things.
Yeah. You do the wrong thing in order to do a good things, because the point is, in governance, sometimes you have to choose between different evils. And so that's the basic idea of dirty hands. I'm not making a point, I'm not making an argument in favor of it, I'm just stating the argument.
I was going to say, I think that the war in Syria is the perfect example. If you look at the British position on it, the people of Syria opposed Assad. So we helped the rebels fight Assad, and we dismantled the regime of Assad. But one of the effects of that is it gave rise to ISIS, who are even more evil than Assad. So we bomb ISIS, but by doing that, we keep Assad in power, which then actually we end up sort of going from supporting rebellion to propagating the status quo, because the successive government that would come out of that would be even worse than the government that we first tried to topple.
Yeah. So there's a sense of like, perhaps we know that we're not doing a good thing, but we're choosing the lesser evil. We know that we're doing something evil, but it is a necessary evil. And
I appreciate it's like that's a very gross generalization.
Sure, and some people could disagree on what is the evil and what is the best course of action, but...
I have a better example from
Sure.
Syria. I think it's ISIS is the product of war in Iraq, 9/11 and afterwards. It's not the Syria, but the Kurdish situation in Iraq. Because Kurds knew there is no hope from any imperialist on them for helping them out, because they wanted their land, but they're being oppressed. But they had to choose between the lesser evil, and they asked help from USA.
Yeah.
They got the weapons, and at the end they're fucked up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is it. But that's
what the state usually do.
And they had to defend their position, because they said we are doing real politics here. We had to have some kind of help from somewhere.
Yeah.
They knew they were doing wrong, because they did exactly the same thing before.
Yeah. And
but they thought that may be better outcome at the end.
And perhaps the act of abandoning the Kurds in Syria could be a political dirty hands by the American government to appease the Russian, to appease the Turkish government. I think that what we find is in the political spheres, it seems to be rife with examples of what we would call political dirty hands when we do an evil thing, when we do something that we know to be wrong, in order to get done the act of governance. But what do you think? Should we be as citizens? So there is ideas that at least in democracies, we elect the government. The citizens are sometimes, if we live in a fairly democratic and representative democracy, we do elect we shape and elect the form of government and the decisions that come from it. So should we feel glad or should we be happy when government officials get their hands dirty on our behalf? What do you think?
No, especially if we haven't given consent to it.
So
if you look at the Iraq War, for example, when Tony Blair went in, that was him getting his hands dirty, but that was not with consent of the people. So therefore, no, it shouldn't have done it.
I'm not saying I'm yes, but just to make a point for being devil's advocate, are the vast majority of the electorate really prepared for politicians to admit this is what they do? It's why we never have straight answers from politicians, because if you say, if say the Conservative politician admitted, well, yes, the deficit has not gone down as we'd like, and the national debt is teetering towards 100% GDP per capita, you would just terrify the electorate into not making a political decision ever again. So I think that even though, I certainly wouldn't feel glad, but I think there is, people that...
Necessary.
It's a
necessity,
thing,
yeah.
Because you need to provide that comfort blanket to a lot of people.
Yeah, so it's kind of insulate the people from you don't have to, as a government official, I have the duty to make the decisions that you would make yourself. So I'm doing this, it's an unpleasant thing that I need to do on behalf of the people. It is part and parcel that comes with the job of being an elected official.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's a good thing.
But you just say that is how it is. Is that the kind of direct? So Tom and Ava?
Is it not the case that even the most evil of politicians like to sort of self-justify what they're doing by thinking that it's for the greater good. So there's a sort of, the very concept, I guess, sort of, there's a sort of, it's suggesting that there's a sort of a lot of people out there that don't know that this is going on. And they're taking on their own moral responsibility of having to do something unpleasant in order for the greater good. But their idea of what the greater good is may be very different for everyone else. And also there's unintended consequences as well.
Sure, yeah, and that's a whole different debate. Like, you know, how far do we look into the future? Just a very quickly final note about like 2-3 minutes, sorry, a bit overrun. So should there be a distinction between the political and the other spheres? Should we make is there a distinction? And the second question is, should there be one?
I mean, if you apply all this to the Holocaust, then that becomes very stark, I think.
Yeah.
You know, arguably, the German people feel that the Nazis needed to get their hands dirty, to get, you know, to ethnically cleanse Germany.
Yeah. I mean, so like that would be again, I think that's the question of like we need to assess whether or not the dirty hands was a necessary evil as a term. So I don't think that dirty hand is like a throwaway term that you could just say it's dirty hands. You know, we're doing this to have a better shot at humanity. So I think that as a concept, there is a lot of work that's happening in the background to determine whether or not that was a necessary evil, because that is a crucial term. I think
that you can't really have the distinction, because it's like, if you look at like who sets the frame of the debate, I mean, I know we've talked about politics a lot, but the media play quite a big role in this as well. If we go back to the example of Nazi Germany, a lot of the Germans only believed that premise of Hitler getting his hands dirty because Goebbels was spewing out propaganda telling them to think that. So I think we need to massively think about not only the debate itself, but who's framing that debate.
Yeah.
And I think if you start making distinctions that it's honourable for the media to do this, for politicians not to do that, you end up going down a very dangerous road where the media is effectively, or like we're seeing with Dominic Cummings and previously with Campbell, where they are effectively becoming the government.
Yeah.
And that's like a really, really dangerous road to go then, because you end up with the rise of populism and
sure.
going down to the more extremist policies.
Yeah, and so I such a fascinating. So again, like I think this really does go back to the beginning, which I said at the beginning. I don't make an argument in this short talk. I do have a position. I'm not defending that position in this talk, but I think that it really kind of questions, and especially now when we say that we have the rise of populism, we have all of these very unpleasant policies and politicians pursuing dangerous policies all over the world. I think that it really does put the focus back on the role of ethics, and maybe we could try to think about the relationship between the two. Again, thank you all for coming, and thank you all for the discussions. Right. Yeah, sorry I overrun. No. Yep. Yeah, and support the issues, right? Do not cross the picket lines, guys.